So I noticed that if I start talking immediately and then I go look back at my video, the audio will be cut off at the first few seconds. So that's why I was trying to wait for a minute. Open up my Starbies. You know what I don't get? I thought that if a drink had caffeine in it, that it had to list that caffeine is one of the ingredients and the amounts, but I guess not, because I was looking up the amount of caffeine in a white chocolate Starbucks Frappuccino bottled drink. I mean, obviously, it's common sense that coffee has caffeine in it, but it could be decaf coffee for all I know. I don't know what type of coffee is even in there. So, but I thought that it would at least state the amount of coffee. Let me turn my brightness up. There we go. I thought it would state the amount of caffeine. Well, let me see. Okay. White chocolate mocha. We're going to look up how much caffeine is in this. Okay. White chocolate mocha. Starbucks. Caffeine content bottle. 75 milligrams of coffee. And I guess that's not terrible. That's about what an 8-ounce cup of coffee is, right? So it's not terrible, but I wasn't aware that there was really any caffeine content in there. And it was funny, this friend I used to have, we used to work together at the hotel. Her name was Ashley. Her last name was Eisenhower, like spelled with an I. So her initials were AI. And this was before, the AI takeover. So I used to call her artificial intelligence. I gotta put another pillow behind my back. Y'all remember that story, The Princess and the Pea? That's definitely me, because I always have. I'm all about my comfort. But yeah, I didn't realize that these had caffeine in them. Like I said, I thought that like in energy drinks and other things, the caffeine content is clearly stated. But on this, it doesn't even list caffeine as an ingredient. And I probably shouldn't be drinking these. Like I was drinking these because I felt like I was like, okay, I can still have my coffee hit without a lot of caffeine, and I was wrong. So yeah, if you are somebody that has dietary restrictions or even just trying to not consume as much caffeine, because caffeine is a drug too. It's just a legal drug, you know. It's a stimulant, but it's a legal stimulant. And we as a society are definitely so dependent on caffeine these days because 333 angel number. Um because everybody is, on the grind or chasing the bag and all this other foolishness, or the backwards ass definition of hustle culture. I talked about it before. It's like hustle culture is not having 2 jobs and 5 hot. I was about to say hide hustles. It's not having 2 jobs and 5 side hustles just to get by, just to survive. Real hustle culture is making money in your sleep. It's like that's what real hustle culture is. And we're on the verge of, I guess what could be called the AI takeover. And AI is going to replace a lot of jobs. Robots are going to replace us as far as physical labor is concerned. And people are like, well, what are we going to do? This is kind of the position where I'm in, where once you can't use your body to work, you have to use your mind, right? And that's where I'm at. And I'm not gonna lie, last night I was just, there's a reason my name is Wild Fury, and there's a reason all these letters are lava and there's fire on my arm, because there is just a fire burning in me. And I feel like before we come to this earth, we choose our life path. Like we choose the struggles we want to go through, we choose what we want to go through. And I know that the higher purpose of that is growth. But so the reason I was feeling like this yesterday, I was just so fucking sick of it, so over it, so over my bodily limitations and restrictions. So I had a test done yesterday called an EMG. It's like an EMG, nerve conduction velocity test, and it tests the nerves to see what type of, if any, damage there is. And because I have numbness that goes, down my arms. I have numbness in my legs. I have painful muscle spasms. And so I had this EMG test done. And when I say this doctor was thorough, I've never spent so much time in a room with a doctor. I was there for 3 hours. And the test it's uncomfortable for one, because you're laying down flat on your back. And for somebody like me with back problems, it's super uncomfortable. And then they take this like cattle prod looking like taser thing, and they inject it. I mean, not inject it, but they put it on your skin, and you know, they expose your skin to the stimulus, and then like your muscles start jerking and stuff. And then after that, they take these long needles. They don't really hurt that much, but it's an uncomfortable feeling. It's kind of similar to an acupuncture needle. And so I had those in my back and in my legs. So it's like I was like a human pincushion yesterday, and I was supposed to go back for a second one today. So like the doctor said they can only work on like 13 nerves or something at a time. And so I have to get it done for my whole body. But I already found out that I have it's like small fiber something. I have neuropathy. Basically I have nerve damage um in my back and my legs and my feet. And when I got home from having the test, I just kind of crashed, and then I woke up in the middle of the night, and I was in so much pain from having that test done. And usually I can block out the pain. Usually I can just I usually don't pay attention to it. You lose power. All this done, and I was supposed to go again today, and my body was just like, I know you're lying. So I ended up having to cancel it. But I was just like, I was angry. I was crying. I'm like, this is some bullshit. I was like, this is bullshit that my body is limited. I'm not able to do things that other people can. I'm not mad that I can't use my body to work, because working is ghetto. Working is stupid. I'm not mad that I can't use my body to work. I'm mad that I can't use my body to travel. I'm mad that I can't use my body to be outside in the summer when other people are outside, because my body is intolerant to the heat. So, because I have so many ailments and they're systemic, like if you just point at an area of my body, I can be like, oh, well, that's what's wrong with this was wrong with that. And I don't feel sorry for myself. I'm just fucking pissed. I'm pissed that, I didn't fucking ask for any of this shit. I didn't ask to be like this, but I have to go through it nonetheless. And I don't feel like I'm a victim. I just like usually the pain fuels me, but I was like, fuck this pain, fuck all these ailments, fuck this. Like, out of all my mom's kids, I'm the one that ended up with these ailments. Not my brother, who's a piece of shit, right? Me. And I used to like scoff at the unfairness of it all. But that's the thing, life is never fair. It's never been fair. We only complain that life isn't fair when the odds are stacked against us. But when the odds are stacked against you, you have to find a way to make it even. And then you become even Steven. Like, people only complain that life isn't fair when things are against them. But if you woke up with $1 million in your bank account tomorrow, you wouldn't be saying, life just isn't fair. And I feel like I've been holding myself to such high standards of acting like nothing bothers me, of acting like I don't have emotions, and it's just bullshit. I'm tired of holding myself to these standards that are unreasonable. And it's like, I feel like if you are transcendent enough, then the power of belief is the most powerful thing. Like, if you really believe it enough, you can heal your own body. If you believe it enough, you can, move mountains, you can fly, you can do whatever you put your mind to if you just believe it enough. And so I'm like, well, why don't I believe it enough? Why have I not been able to heal myself? Because I know I have the ability to, but I've been holding myself to these high standards and acting like I don't have emotions. And it's just unrealistic. I've always been the hardest person on myself. And I'm looking at like, well, why do I have to do this? Why am I holding myself to these not impossible standards, but these ridiculous standards? Like, I'm allowed to have emotions. I'm allowed to be mad that my whole life I've been in pain. I'm allowed to feel some type of way about it and not just be at a point where it's like, oh, I've made peace with it. That's something people lie about. But when somebody says I've made peace with it, lie. Because I haven't made peace with it. Like, it's not even about the fact that it's not fair. It's about the fact that I deserve better. My body deserves better than to just be rife with ailments. My body deserves better, and I want my body to be treated the way it deserves. My body does not deserve to go through such pain. My body doesn't deserve to to go out, and the majority of the outings that I go to are doctor's appointments. My body deserves better than what it has been given. And that's what I'm mad about. I'm not, oh, woe is me. Why is everything so hard? No, it's just, you know, my body deserves better than to have ailments. And so that's why I'm doing what I can. Like, I'm fixing what I can. And everything else that can't be fixed, or not even say can't be fixed, everything else that does not yet have a cure, I'm just treating. I've spoken a lot about my ailments on here. I don't even know if I don't really think that any one person besides myself knows the extent of everything that I go through. And, before, like this test I got yesterday, it would have, I would have been crying in the doctor's office. First time I had one of these tests 3 years ago, I did cry. I was in the doctor's office crying. But this time, I was breathing, I was controlling my breathing. And I really don't like to be touched. I really have issues with that. And even though it's in a clinical manner, my body still remembers touches that weren't. And it's hard not to conflate the two. And, my doctor kept telling me to relax. So when they do these tests, they want you to relax. And I'm like, I can only relax so much when another person is touching me. You can't ask me to completely relax, given my history and what I've been through. And maybe that was something I should have led with. It's like, hey, I have issues. I'm a survivor of human trafficking. I've had a lot of trauma in my life. So if I'm unable to relax, you're just going to have to take the best result that you can get from that. And before, I would have been very upset about it. I would have been upset about, knowing that after every test I get, that there's some new ailment that I didn't previously know about. But now I look at it like I'm just putting a name to a face, because I already know. I guarantee you, I probably have diagnoses for, I would probably say, 50 to 60% of my ailments. But there are things that I haven't even been to the doctor for yet that I know are, like, if I know if and when I go, they're going to say, hey, you have this condition. And so now I don't get overwhelmed about it. I just look at it like, hey, I'm putting a name to a face, because it's already there. And it's already doing damage without me knowing about it. So I would rather know what damage is being done. And a lot of people, like, Okay, so there's this thing, it's called the Bader-Meinhof phenomenon. So here's a good example. It's like, okay, let's say you buy a royal blue, I don't know, Toyota Camry. And before you bought those, you haven't really seen many of them before, right? But then as soon as you buy one, you see it everywhere. And it's not the fact that there are more of them out there. It's just that your brain now has a reason to notice them. And I feel like a lot of people are like that with ailments. Like if you get diagnosed with something from a doctor, you're giving more energy and attention to it. And now it's like, okay, well, the doctor said I have this back disease and now my back hurts all the time. And on the one hand, I can see how that would happen, but I don't let giving it a name have power over me or control me. It's like, I already know that what this is. So when I give a name to something, I'm taking the power back from it. Just like what they tell me I have yesterday. I have, um, I have some sort of neuropathy. I have nerve damage. And I already knew that because I have these painful muscle spasms all the time. It's like everything that I get diagnosed with now or in the future, it's something that's already there. It's not like they're like, hey, we just, we did Wheel of Fortune, Wheel of Misfortune, and we're diagnosing you with this out of thin air. No. And a lot of people get overwhelmed by when a doctor tells you you have this diagnosis or this diagnosis. And when I first figured out, I didn't have any of these diagnoses until 2023. So it's relatively new that I found out I had neck, back, shoulder, feet problems. Well, I knew about the feet problems, but I didn't have the name of the disease. But I didn't know I had scoliosis. I did not know I had degenerative disc disease. I did not know I had herniated disc. I did not know I had labral tears in both of my shoulders. I didn't know I had rotator cuff tears. I didn't know I had arthritis that was rife throughout my body. All I knew was that I had pain. And you only ever experience life through your perspective. So I didn't know that it wasn't normal to be in this much pain every day. I thought everybody was walking around in this much pain. I thought that it was just normal to live life in just an insane amount of pain. It wasn't until I got hurt at work and I finally went to the doctor and they're like, you have a very serious problem, that I realized, oh, this isn't normal. It wasn't until, I had all of these diagnoses and then I was finally able to apply for and get approved for disability, which the bar is very, very high. The bar is very high to get on disability. And especially if you are relatively young and you look healthy, it's hard to get. So the fact that I even got it is like, you know, it just it put it in perspective for me because I thought everybody was walking around in this much pain. I thought everybody, had scoliosis and neck problems and back problems and shoulder problems and feet problems and heart problems because you only experience reality from your own perspective. What was what? I don't understand what you're asking. What question are you referring to? What are we talking about here? But now that I know and I put a name and a face to all these ailments, that allows me to take my power back. It's like, okay, you're not going to take power and energy from me. And while, yeah, it fucking sucks. It does suck that, you know, I am relatively young and there are things that I'll never be able to do again or ever because of my mobility issues. Like, I live right in Coney Island. I live about 3 blocks from the boardwalk. And I would love to be out there right now, like riding the Ferris wheel, or I would love to be on some sort of ride where I'm just getting my body just like thrown around like a rag doll. You know what I mean? But because I have issues with my discs in my neck and my back, I can't do stuff like that anymore. So this is why I try to focus on what I can do and not what I can't do. So now it's like my mind has become Like now I live in the playground in my mind because of my bodily limitations. And it's been it's been an obstacle course that I've gotten through. And then, you never finish. You get through one obstacle course and then it's like, here's another one. But I always tell myself, an obstacle is not meant to stop you. You're supposed to get through it. That's why it's called an obstacle course. Any obstacle that is put in your way is the way. The obstacle is the way. And I feel like anybody who has physical ailments or chronic pain or is disabled are warriors. Like, these are strong people. You have to be strong. You have to be strong in order to be in pain every day. Like, that takes a strength that most people don't know about. I watched my dad go through it. My dad had a lot of ailments, and my dad was in pain. My dad couldn't work towards the end of his life, and it it takes energy and it takes strength to be a chronically ill person, to be a disabled person. It takes fortitude, it takes will, and it's ironic because, you know, disabled people are looked at like a liability, like a crutch, like, you know, like we're out here looking for handouts. But the fact that we even exist and persist and resist, it's like that's why I am a disability advocate, because looking at me you would not know. I mean, unless you have x-ray vision, how are you going to know someone's disabled? Unless they have a broken leg or a broken arm or some visible deformity, most disabilities are invisible. So how can you ever know? Like, that's the thing, you never know what's going on inside someone. I don't even know all the things that I have going on. That's why I'm going through this testing to see. I'm having surgery in a few weeks. I have lots of doctor's appointments coming up before then. And sometimes I look at it like it's such a chore. Like, I don't want to do it. And some days I'm not the most reliable person when it comes to keeping appointments. I'm not even going to hold you. Like I said, I was supposed to go today and I didn't go because at the end of the day, I'm going to listen to my body. And that's another thing, is that being chronically ill, being disabled, comes at a higher cost of energy. This is why most people who are disabled and who have, chronic pain also suffer from chronic fatigue syndrome. It takes more energy to be disabled than it does to be healthy. And there is a science behind it. Okay, I've looked it up before, but let's just see, because it can explain it more eloquently than I can. Why does chronic pain cause chronic fatigue? It's like your body, it never allows your body to rest. Okay, chronic pain causes chronic fatigue because the continuous signaling of pain drains the body's physical and mental energy reserves. So it's like, if you have something that is powered by a battery and that thing is on the fritz and it's causing drains from the battery, you can't, I can't just take my battery out and hit the factory reset. When normal healthy people rest, that is like putting your battery into one of those battery rechargers, and then you wake up, fresh and ready to take on the day. Okay. Key reasons for chronic fatigue: sleep disruptions. Pain makes it hard to fall and stay asleep. Yes. Preventing the deep restorative rest the body needs to recover energy. So I typically wake up every few hours. It's hard for me to fall asleep. I've suffered from insomnia for a long time, and it's only gotten worse with my ailments, especially with both shoulders and neck. Like, there's no real comfortable position, high inflammation, ongoing immune activation, and inflammatory chemicals in the body create persistent physical exhaustion. Stress response, constant pain keeps the nervous system on high alert, alerting hormone levels like cortisol and draining adrenal resources. So it's basically like your body's in fight or flight mode all the time, and you can never truly relax. Emotional drain, coping with unrelenting discomfort leads to high rates of stress, anxiety, and depression, which can cause deep mental fatigue. Physical deconditioning, moving less to avoid triggering pain causes a loss of muscle mass and lowers overall physical stamina, which I can attest to. Many common prescription drugs used to manage long-term pain list drowsiness and fatigue as side effects. So, yes, being in pain, being fatigued go hand in hand. That's why chronic fatigue syndrome often accompanies diseases like chronic pain. And I have a lot of coexisting conditions. So I have POTS, and I was looking at the small fiber neuropathy. I think that's what it's called. And those go hand in hand. And while I don't actually have a diagnosis of this yet, I feel like I have Ehlers-Danlos, like the hypermobility one, because I have so many symptoms of it. I just don't have a diagnosis yet. But okay, and small fiber neuropathy is something that typically starts in your feet. It starts in your feet and goes up. But my doctor told me, my neurologist told me that I have the one that is called, it's like non-length dependent. Okay. So let's talk about that. Non-length dependent small fiber neuropathy is a rare condition where damage to small sensory and autonomic nerve fibers causes patchy, random, or widespread symptoms across the torso, face, and limbs rather than staying strictly in the feet. Numbness, burning, or pain that affects the face, scalp, trunk, or upper limbs irregularly instead of a classic stocking glove pattern. Sensory changes, sharp pain, tingling pins and needles, or a feeling of being hypersensitive or devoid of sensation. Autonomic dysfunction, issues like abnormal sweating, heart palpitations, or digestive problems. And the congenital defect that I have, Bertolotti syndrome. So all of these things fall under the same umbrella. They're related. They are typically comorbidities of each other. So the small fiber neuropathy, the POTS, Ehlers-Danlos, and what was the other thing? And Bertolotti syndrome. These conditions are often related to each other. And if you have one, it's not uncommon for you to have another. Like a lot of people with this small fiber neuropathy have POTS. In fact, there is a type of POTS called neuropathic POTS. And, the small fiber neuropathy, it can affect your heart too. Like it can cause you to have heart palpitations. So a lot of the conditions that I have fall under the same umbrella, and they have kind of like how a lot of neurodivergence falls under the same umbrella. They have overlying. Let's turn that off. Ooh, my neck. I didn't feel good. They have similar symptoms, so sometimes it's hard to diagnose one or the other. And when you are neurodivergent and you have chronic ailments and disabilities, well, look at you. But hey, me too. But again, I am not a victim. I'm not a victim. And even when I get mad about it, even when I get angry, I allow that to fuel me. Like I could be mad about it and do nothing about it, or I could be mad about it and use that fuel to, you know, to pursue my higher purpose. And that is, this is part of it. I would love to be on the stage somewhere giving a TED talk, but my mobility issues this is my platform. I'd love to be traveling all over the world. There are things that I would love to do that instead of doing them in the physical world, I'm doing them in the virtual world or my world. And it's just something that I don't want to say I've made peace with it because I haven't made peace with it because it's bullshit. I didn't choose, I didn't ask for my body to be like this. I didn't ask to look like this and to not be taken seriously by doctors. Doctors didn't take me seriously for a very long time. They were like, I've been in the hospital before and I had a doctor were like, "You're so young. What are you doing here?" And I had, what was it? This is one of the times that I nearly died. I had a small bowel obstruction and they nearly had to wheel me to the OR for emergency surgery to remove a piece of my intestines. But yeah, I'm so young. What am I doing here? And I don't even say that's my struggle in life. That's my obstacle in life. It's always been my obstacle in life. It started as a kid when I had headaches. I had allergies. I've always had certain things that over the years have progressed to a point where they've tried to take over my life. It's like a zombie. It's like I was bitten by a zombie as a child and now it's trying to make me into a zombie. And I refuse to become one. It's like I'll fucking bite you back. How about I bite a zombie and turn it into a human? And I am just I am pursuing my higher purpose, and it has to be something mental. It has to be something that does not involve my body because my body said no. My body said you are to be flown around on a magic carpet. My body said you are not to work. My body said no. My body said we're not doing this. And I'm grateful and thankful that I'm blessed enough that I still have a house to live in. I still have food in my refrigerator. All my bills are paid. I don't even have bills. The only types of bills I have are notes, $100 bills. Those are the only type of bills I have. So I'm still grateful and blessed that I'm still able to live a life of leisure, even though I don't work. But when people look at me and be like, "Oh my God, you're so lucky. Like, you just get to sit at home all day and get paid for it." I'm like, on the one hand, that's true. But on the other hand, you don't see the pain that I'm in. Just because I am not on here crying doesn't mean that I'm not in pain. And that's something else that people don't understand is that your threshold for pain goes up the longer you're in pain because when you're in pain every day, it's like it becomes your new normal. Like if I'm complaining about the pain, it's a really bad day because I'm always in pain. That's like complaining about the sun coming out every day. It's going to do that tomorrow too. But on days when the sun is particularly bright and it's bearing down and it's hot, people are like, "Damn, it's hot out here." And that's how I am with my pain. Like, and I've noticed that sometimes I hold the pain in and I have to release it. So I have this imagery in my head of whatever body part is in pain. It's like this black and white mist. And I'm just like, I just imagine it just like leaving my body. And I'll write about it to get it out. But focusing on the pain makes it worse. It's like, what's that saying where intention flows, energy goes? So when you focus your intentions on the pain, that's where your energy goes. And pain is something that takes energy. It doesn't give energy. It can, but you have to reverse the polarity of it. But pain intrinsically, inherently, is low vibration pain because it's physical. You know, there are different types of pain, but physical pain is low vibration because it's very base level. And so I just imagine like this mist like leaving my body. If I'm in pain, I just imagine, like, I visualize the pain leaving my body, and it works. You know, I do have medicinal treatments that I also use, but pain first and foremost is felt here. You know, everything is felt here. Everything's felt in your computer first. And just because, and yeah, it is all in your head, but just because something's in your head doesn't make it less real. People are like, it's all in your head. Everything's in your head. Reality's in your head. But I think that's about it. I just wanted to pop on real quick. Now I'm going to lay on my heating pad, watch some television. So and probably maybe hop back on here tomorrow. But I'm just I am resting my body as it requires. So y'all can